Is polygamy a sin?
No. G'day and welcome to Nevadia. So I just decided to go on to all of our favourite YouTubers out there, the transformed wife, also known as Laurie Alexander. So if you don't know who she is, she's a bit of an interesting woman, I will grant you that. She is of several opinions I don't particularly agree with, and I thought I'd have a bit of a tackle on a video that she put out called Is Polygamy a Sin? So let's get started.
Hi. Is polygamy a sin? We've been discussing that in the chat room because a man on Facebook wrote a long post about polygamy and how it isn't sinful. And it was a great discussion, a lot of different opinions. But the Bible doesn't come out and say that polygamy is a sin.
Well, that's good to know that polygamy isn't a sin. So I've got a quick question. What about polyamory? Is it the same for women who want to have sex with multiple people, or is it just going to be just for men? Out of curiosity, that's just what I want to know.
In fact, God, in the Old Testament, there was a lot of men of old who had more than one wife. And God never condemned them for doing that.
And probably part of the reason why he never condemned men for having more than one wife is because women were considered to be property of man. In certain ways, you could even say that having more than one wife is no different to having more than one dog. So maybe that might have something to do with it. I don't know. Let's continue. Let's see what Laurie says.
And I think it was because a lot of men were being killed at war and doing the heavy work of protecting and providing their families. And there weren't as many people, so there were a lot of women and children who were left destitute. And so these wealthy men would marry all these women.
So clearly polygamy wasn't actually a thing about men going off to war and having destitute women and children. Women often died in childbirth back then. The only men who were able to have more than one wife were wealthy. So it was actually a status symbol. Wealthy men were able to have more than one wife because, having more than one wife is no different to having more than one dog back then.
Concubines and give them a place to live and food and shelter. So I think it was a necessity for the times, but I don't believe at all in any way that it is God's intention for us.
Laurie, did you just admit that God changes his mind? So if God changes his mind on things like this, do you think it might be possible that God could change his mind on things like contraception, abortion, women having an education, women having a job? Is that possible? Because that seems to be a thing that needs to happen nowadays. Having one income households is not possible anymore for the majority of people. There might be one or two exceptions, but I think if we were to have a look at things that are happening right now in the world, I think God may have changed his mind on a couple of things. You see, society kind of dictates what God believes from what I can see.
Because God created Adam, and then he created Eve as his helpmeet.
I hate that term, helpmeet. I'm sorry. I am an independent woman. I don't need no man. But also, no man don't need me. We are equal. Women nowadays are no one's helpmeets but their own. I get that you prefer to be able to stay at home, and that's good for you. Well done. But I am not that woman. I am definitely not that woman. I need to go out and learn and earn my own money and be financially independent and to be intellectually independent from another person, because that is who I am. And I'm glad that I have this opportunity to be able to do that. So I'm sorry, but Laurie, you kind of just got to move with the times.
He didn't create a bunch of women for Adam's helpmeet. He knew that Adam only needed one woman in his life. And then he said, the man shall leave his father and mother, and he will cleave to his wife, not wives. So I believe God's perfect intention for us is monogamy, one man and one woman, married until death part them. And so also then a qualification for an elder in the New Testament is that he be the husband of one wife. The elders in the churches are to be blameless, the outstanding men in the churches. There's a lot of qualifications for them. They're to be above reproach, have children that aren't rebellious, and they're to be the husband of one wife. And so I think all men should strive to be the qualities of what an elder is, because those are God's perfect example of what godly men should be.
There's quite a few problems with this list that she put out. First of all, a man that needs to be blameless and above reproach. Unfortunately, that also puts them above the law, because if you can't reproach them, they can get away with everything. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. This has been an issue with a lot of powerful people all over the world, not only in the religious organisations, but also in powerful organisations. You've got people like Cardinal Pell, who was above reproach until earlier this year, who was sent to jail for historical child sex abuse. You've also got people like Harvey Weinstein. He kind of did some pretty bad things. Then you've got Epstein. All of these people were above reproach, and they did awful things. Thankfully, the legal system kind of caught up with that and has decided to make these people within reproach, and now they're either dead or in jail. In regards to having non-rebellious children, you've really got to ask the question, why are they non-rebellious? Are they not rebellious because they respect their father, or are they not rebellious because they're terrified of their father? Because child abuse, not just sexual abuse, but child abuse, carries on for the entirety of their lives. You've got to have every single person to be able to be under the scrutiny of the law and of society. If I met someone like that, I would not trust them as far as I could spit them.
And there is no polygamy mentioned in the New Testament or in the New Covenant, Romans through Revelation, under which we live. Nothing that says anything about men being able to marry multiple wives.
Well, in our legal system at the moment, men can't marry multiple wives, but that doesn't mean that they don't go out and have sex with other women. And also, I gotta ask a question, is this just polygamy, or are you talking about polyamory as well? I'd like to know your thoughts on that one, Laurie. I would assume that you would probably be horrified of that. So the definitions of polygamy is one man having sex with multiple women, and polyamory is basically whatever you want to make it. It means that a man could have sex with multiple women, or a man could have sex with multiple partners of any gender, and a woman could also have multiple partners of any gender that she wishes to have, or a person of any gender can have multiple partners. So I just want to know about that one too, Laurie. Can you let me know?
And in the Old Testament, all the stories concerning polygamy show that the destruction of it and nothing good about it. Yeah, the women and the children were taken care of, but it caused so much conflict too. Look at Abraham's wives, the two between them, there's still conflict because of those two children that those two women bear.
Of course, there's going to be some sort of problem and conflict between those two. Women, as I said, were considered property. So if he had a favorite, that meant that he valued one woman more than the other woman. In modern times, which strangely enough you seem to you're a few centuries behind, but in modern times you'll find that healthy relationships can happen within polyamorous communities. For example, I have a friend who is absolutely very much in love with his wife, and his wife is very much in love with him. She also has a girlfriend that he knows that she goes off and has her way with her, and he also has sex with other women. And you know what? That's fine. These people love each other. And the thing is, the reason why they love each other and they're happy with this is that they have communication. What was happening between those two women, I don't know. But because I haven't met them, I don't know who they are. I'm not even sure if they exist. But if they did, there was probably some sort of conflict that was being unresolved there. A lot of these sorts of things can be sorted out with decent communication. I can't see if it's within two or more consenting adults to have a sexual relationship with someone. Why is it necessarily a bad thing if no one is getting hurt?
We must be careful about making something, say it's not it's okay when God never said it was okay. It was good or right.
So going by that standard, Laurie, that means that you're absolutely okay with abortion, murder, rape, genocide and slavery, but you're not okay with women's liberation, contraception, and women's education. I'm sorry, but your God kind of has an issue with being a moral thing. If something is not okay with God, often, quite a lot of the times, it kind of is being good for society.
And there's a Bible in the King James that said God winked at a time. It's like he allowed it for a purpose, and he made rules about it under the law to protect the wives and the children. But it's not good. It's not his perfect will for us. We, as believers in Jesus Christ.
God's perfect will would be for me to have had at least about 5 or 6 children by now and possibly be dead. I don't think that God's will is actually all that good.
We always should want to live God's perfect and will for us, because we know that it's good and acceptable, and he's our creator and he knows what's best for us.
I would disagree with you on that, Laurie, because going by God's rule, I should be dead by now. God would not want me to have any education, so therefore I would not be able to do the things that you and I are both doing. You can read, I can read. God doesn't like that. God doesn't like an educated woman. God doesn't like a woman who has control over their bodily autonomy. So whatever God thinks is good for me, I would have to disagree with him on that one, because I prefer to not be dead, I prefer to not have children, and I prefer to be educated. Sorry, God. If that causes me to be a sinful harlot, then I will be a sinful harlot.
So one man should leave his father and mother and cleave to his one wife. They should raise up godly offspring if the Lord blesses their wombs. And this is God's perfect will for us. So do I think polygamy is sin? No, I don't think it's sin, but I don't think it's God's will for us.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm slightly surprised about that. I thought she would have gone on about how polygamy is a sin, which, I'm honestly surprised about that. But to be honest with you also, neither is polyamory or any sin, because sin is not a thing that God really should care about. Even if God did exist, why does God care so much about what we do with our bodies? We're nothing. We're insignificant. We're on this earth for what? 80 years? The universe is billions of years old and infinitely large. And wouldn't God be out there creating galaxies and supermassive black holes and bizarre quantum mechanics that is put there to make life difficult for physicists? I mean, why does it care so much about us? Seriously.
We have freedom in Christ, but I don't think men should go around marrying multiple women. Because it's still God's perfect will for us to be one man, one wife, until death do us part. And there was something else I was going to talk about in this video, but I never have notes. You probably can tell, but I've kind of forgotten at this point. I'll remember another time and discuss it another time. But anyway, I know what I was going to say, that some people believe that this man argued that if you have sex with someone, you're married to them because you become one flesh. But the women in the chat room brought up that if a woman is raped or a daughter is raped by her father, they're not married in God's eyes.
Oh, well, that's good. Okay, finally, yay, something that I agree with God. Yeah, I don't want to be married to a person who's raped me. I know, it's just a bit of a weird thought. And also, the father raping the daughter and having him being married. Oh, yuck. Ugh.
I think God's really clear about what marriage is. It's leaving and cleaving until death do you part. It's a commitment. It's a vow. It's something for life that you are in for life. You are committed and you raise children together. And as long as you both shall live. I'm sorry, I'm rambling a little bit here. But anyway, I wanted to just get that in too, because that's been a big discussion lately too, with a post that I've written lately about. So anyway, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
So that's the end of the video. And to be honest with you, I don't know, I'm probably one of the few people out here that will give Laurie the benefit of the doubt. But outside of her highly toxic, misogynistic, misandric, very bad thought processes, I kind of think she'd be an all right kind of person. She'd be the kind of person I could sit down and have a cup of tea with, because she does actually seem to be an all right seeming person. I could be totally wrong. I like to think the best of everyone. But yeah, I don't know. I feel kind of sorry for her. She's so indoctrinated and is spewing the most awful stuff, but she seems so nice as well. Anyway, I could be totally wrong, and I'm sure most of you would disagree with me on that one, but as I said, I want to give her the benefit of the doubt. Anyway, that is basically all I wanted to say about this. Do you think that polygamy is a sin? Is it sinful? Is polyamory a sin? I have made my thoughts clear on that one. And anyway, I hope you're having a really lovely day, evening, night, whenever. And don't forget, don't give yourself the raw prawn. And I also want to say a quick thank you to all of my patrons, especially my $20 patrons, Atheist Pastor and Jassa G, as well as my $10 patrons, Ada Furball and Lauren Hart. Thank you very much for your lovely support of my channel. I super duper duper appreciate it. See you later, everyone. Bye-bye.